Hi, this is Nicholas Yock, a registered education and migration agent from Pathway to Oz. Today, I'm going to talk you through something called the Job Ready program, different trade course pathways, and cover a lot of questions about the process and requirements for this. So, what is the Job Ready program? Now, the Job Ready program is a pathway set up through Trades Recognition Australia, and the main benefit of it is that it allows you to obtain a full skills assessment without requiring the usual 3 years of work experience. Now, this full skills assessment is then used for different sort of permanent visa options. So international students can study a course in Australia to build up their skills and experience. This will likely make you a lot more employable and will allow you to meet the different education and work requirements for different permanent visas. Look, I'm not saying that the Job Ready program is for everyone. Obviously, if you already meet the requirements to apply for different skilled visas, go for it, like 100% go for it. But this pathway is really useful for someone who might not meet the requirements, but still wants to, migrate to Australia and gain new skills, I guess, in an occupation which is in demand and which pays, fairly well. Pathway to Oz as a company has actually helped a lot of students go through, the education and then migration sort of side. We've had students go and participate in the Job Ready program who have studied carpentry, air conditioning and refrigeration, commercial cookery, boat building, just to name a few. Right now, I'm going to go through and explain a pathway that may potentially lead to some of the different permanent work visas in the future. So there are 4 steps involved in this pathway. The first is enrolling in the right sort of trade course. The second is obtaining the graduate work visa when you've finished. The third is undertaking the Job Ready program and employment in Australia. And the fourth is obtaining a full skills assessment, which can be used for different sort of permanent visa options. So part 1. Enroll in the right course or package of courses. Now, the course that you enroll in must skill you in an occupation which is on the medium to long-term list and must have Trades Recognition Australia as the relevant skilling assessing authority. Some of the courses which do allow you to sort of go down this pathway include, mechanic, automotive, commercial cookery, carpentry, bricklaying, engineering, fabrication, boat building, just to name a few. A full list of the different courses which you can do will actually be in the link below. So just some of the common requirements in regards to, choosing the right course. Now, the course or package of courses must go for at least 92 Cricos weeks or approximately 2 years of study. If you do choose to do sort of 2 courses together, it's really important that, say you do the Cert 3 in carpentry and the Cert 4 of building and construction, those 2 courses, are highly relevant to each other, so you should have no problem with that. But if you do 2 courses which aren't relevant, for example, the Cert 3 in carpentry and then let's say like a diploma of leadership and management, that probably won't meet the requirements because they're not relevant. So the 2 years of study need to be courses which are highly relevant to your occupation. Throughout your 2 years of study as well, you will need to undertake 360 hours of vocational placement. So vocational placement is where it's part of the college curriculum where they'll send you out to, gain skills on site or in a workshop. So you're actually learning, outside of the classroom environment. Now, some colleges include this as part of the course content and some colleges don't. If your course doesn't, then you would actually need 360 hours of paid work experience in kind of a relevant occupation. If you're studying to be a carpenter, a relevant work experience could potentially be, working as a labourer for a builder or something like that. Part 2. Applying for the Provisional Skills Assessment and obtaining a temporary graduate work. So once you have finished the course, you should potentially be able to apply for what's called a Provisional Skills Assessment through Trades Recognition Australia and then apply for the graduate visa or subclass 485 visa. Now, this temporary graduate visa is valid for 18 months from the grant and allows you to live and work anywhere in Australia. You can include your partner and also all your children on the temporary graduate visa as well. There's actually another video for the temporary graduate visa on our YouTube page, so feel free to check it out there. I'm now going to go through some of the steps and requirements in obtaining this temporary graduate visa. So once you've finished your course, you would then be able to apply for the Provisional Skills Assessment, which is through Trades Recognition Australia. The process is fairly simple to apply for this visa. You'd need to provide documentation that you've graduated, so your completion certificate from the college, transcripts, diploma certificates, and then you'd also need to show that 360 hours of vocational placement or 360 hours of relevant paid experience. And some documents which you'd provide for this would be your vocational logbook, a letter from the college or letters from your employers, and if you did do paid work experience, pay slips and stuff like that. You can apply for the Provisional Skills Assessment through the TRA portal. So the Provisional Skills Assessment does take close to 3 months. So you don't actually need the actual full skills assessment outcome. You just need to have applied for it to be able to go for the graduate work visa. So after you've done the Provisional Skills Assessment, or you've applied for the Provisional Skills Assessment, you would then look to lodge your graduate work visa online in your IMI account. Now, with the graduate work visa, there is actually 2 streams of it. The first is the post-study work stream, which is only relevant if you've done a bachelor degree or higher, so you're not doing that. You would actually do the graduate work stream. Now, some of the main requirements for the graduate visa, that you've got competent English, so IELTS 6 with no score lower than 5. You must have applied for Australian Federal Police check. You must have obviously completed 2 years of study or 92 CRICOS weeks. You must be applying from within Australia. You must have overseas visas healthcare. And you must apply for your visa no later than 6 months from when you completed your studies. Part 3, undertaking the Job Ready program. So the temporary graduate visa usually takes about 2 to 4 months to be approved. However, while it's processing, if your student visa does expire, you'll actually move on to a bridging visa, which allows you to remain in Australia throughout the processing. On the bridging visa, if you finish your study, you should also have full work rights, as you've completed your education and are no longer in session. On the temporary graduate visa, you can then undertake the Job Ready program, which is run through, as we've said before, Trade Recognition Australia, or TRA for short. Now, this requires 12 months of paid work experience in a relevant occupation. Now, the Job Ready program, the eventual outcome is that it gives you a full skills assessment, which can be used for migration purposes and applying for different permanent visas. After only 12 months of work experience, usually if you didn't study in Australia and go through this pathway, you'd actually need 3 years of work experience. Once you do have the temporary graduate visa, you can then begin to work in your 1,725 hours of relevant work experience. You would need to sign up an employer with TRA. So when you sign up an employer, it's not involved. The employer is not your sponsor. They just need to fill out a form to say, that you'd be working there. The work that you do as well needs to be in the relevant occupation at the relevant skill level. So if you're going through the Job Ready program as a chef, you can't be working, as a cook at a fast food restaurant. You need to be in the, a proper kitchen working as a, proper chef. Once your employer has been accepted by Trades Recognition Australia, you would then go through and upload your pay slips every month just to show that, you've been keeping up with the hours. Halfway through the 1,725 hours, you can actually organise your workplace assessment, which is, the one of the main parts of the Job Ready program. So what this involves is someone from Trade Recognition Australia, an assessor, actually coming out to you on site and looking, watching you work, basically, ensuring that you know the skills, you know what you're doing, and, you meet the requirements of, the Australian standards to work in the role. Now, if at the time you don't, pass the assessment, then the workplace assessor comes out and says, no, you're no good, then you do have the opportunity to do it at a later date as well. But, so far we haven't had any participants who haven't been able to pass that assessment. Now, finally, once, the workplace assessment has been passed and you've completed your 1,725 hours of paid work experience, you'll then, be required to provide all your pay slips, group tax assessments, all this sort of documentation as evidence to TRA. TRA would then verify all this and provide you with a skills assessment outcome, which can be used for all the different sort of permanent visa options. All right, so part 4, guys, this is the exciting part. When you finished the Job Ready program, got your full outcome, your skills assessment outcome. The reason why it's exciting is that you can actually use this skills assessment outcome as the very first step to potentially applying for the different sort of permanent visas. So all the different permanent general visas are on there. There's the skilled independent 189, the skilled nominated 190 or the state sponsored, and the regional nominated 489 all require a full skills assessment, which is what you have. All right, so please note there are a few other requirements that you'll need to pass when you are going for those permanent visas. You've still got to pass the points test. You still need to pass the health and character assessments and stuff like that. But the skills assessment is the very first step to going for those visas. All right, guys. So that was a sort of general overview of, the 4 parts in regards of that particular pathway. So enrolling in the right course, obtaining the temporary graduate visa, going through the Job Ready program, and then looking at the different sort of permanent visa options. Now I'm going to go through sort of one of our previous students and sort of explain, his pathway, his points, how he went about it, and everything like that. Look, so Ben is from the USA, and he came to TAFE Queensland and studied engineering fabrication. Ben came when he was 33, so, he's about 36 now. Prior to starting, the engineering fabrication course, he actually had no previous background in it. He was actually previously did a Bachelor of Fine Arts at a university in the USA. Now, Ben came out here in about 2014 and, started his course. He undertook, he did a 2-year education program. As part of the course, Ben undertook 360 hours of vocational placement throughout his studies, so that when he finished the course, the 2-year course, we then applied for his graduate work visa. Now, Ben was actually very fortunate that he actually continued to work for the same same company that he did his vocational placement with. So he's in metal fabrication. He went and worked with them in metal fab, and he, signed them up through the TRA program, completed 1,725 hours there. Someone from the assessing authority came out, TRA, signed him off, said, yeah, he's all good. Now, with Ben, he actually didn't have quite enough points to go the skilled independent permanent visa, just because of his age. He's a little bit older. He's about 36 now, and he couldn't quite get his English up to the really high marks. However, we were still fortunate enough to get Ben New South Wales state nomination, which is a permanent visa, and he's very happy. He actually lives and works in Byron Bay, so he's very happy, for the permanent state nominated 190 visa. So when we applied for his visa, he was 36, so he gets 25 points for his age. Ben got 10 points for his English. He undertook the PTE exam and passed it fairly easily. His education, he actually got 15 points because he previously did have that bachelor degree from the States. His work experience in Australia, we were able to claim that 1 year throughout the Job Ready program, which is 5 points. And New South Wales state nomination is another 5 points. So all up, that's a total of 65 points, which, was good enough to get Ben this New South Wales state nomination and allow us to apply for his permanent 190 visa. If you are interested in finding a course in Australia that may make you eligible for this particular pathway, please feel free to contact Pathway to Oz on our website, Facebook, email, or over the phone. Please be aware that migration law is constantly changing and nothing is guaranteed. At Pathway to Oz, we try to keep our clients aware of any potential changes, and if the first plan is no longer available, we always try to have a backup plan for our clients. On that note, please also know that everything I've said is general in nature, and if you do want to sort of have a migration agent overlook your specific situation and give you an outcome or give you an overview, feel free to contact Pathway to Oz. Thank you.